question is, why Houston? So in coming up with locations, we are very much interested in how that will impact on Nigerian businesses and the kind of success that we anticipate that they will have. Okay, so Houston is a very large very large, is a very large city. Is the energy capital of the world. It has very huge diaspora community. In fact, about a quarter of people who live in Houston are non-natives, right? So again, Houston has boast of one of the largest, is a shipping hub. It has one of the biggest ports around the world, in the world. Okay, and so that was why choosing Houston was strategic to us, so that also gives Nigerians that inroad into the US market. And like I said, this is going to be a continuous exercise. The bank's objective is to look at markets where Nigerians need to make significant inroad, so that we can grow the opportunities that the SMEs and of course the large businesses can tap into. That is our focus, right? That is our focus. So that is what it is. And we are working in making this event successful. We're also working with the United States Embassy, especially the commercial section of the US Embassy. We're working with the Food and Drug Administration, which is very, very key in getting their products into the US, especially for consumables, right? So we're working with a key number of partners. And of course, Afrexim Bank is also with us on this, and some other organizations, in making this happen. So for us as a bank, this is very good for us. It is something that is very dear to the hearts of the management and board of the bank, and we're also encouraging you to make it there in Houston. It's in October 23rd and 24th, like I have said. And then, of course, I'm sure in the course of this exercise, if there are questions that you will need me to take, I will gladly answer those questions. But that is just what the FITCC is all about in a nutshell, right? So to register, all you need to do is to go to the internet and type in www.fitccusa.com, fitccusa.com, and that takes you to the link where you can register as a speaker, you can register as an exhibitor, you can also come in as a guest, right? And then it's also important that before I go into the next section, to say that the booths are going to be given free of charge, so exhibitors are not going to be charged anything in getting a booth. Okay, but again, so there is limited number of booths. So if we have started the allocation, and for those of you wishing to exhibit, you can also indicate, and then we'll have the booths allocated to you. Like I said, very, very important that you go to register at fitccusa.com.
Fantastic.
Okay, so beyond I don't know if you got that.
Yes, very well, very well. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, I know I've taken so much of time, but then just taking like 2 minutes of your time more to talk about the funding options that the bank can provide for people who are looking to go into this export space, or people who are already there and are looking to scale up. So we can do post-shipment finance, which of course means that you would have done the shipment, but you cannot wait, and you need to have a faster turnaround time in terms of your payments. You can approach the bank, and of course, we look at the shipping documents and all the associated documents, on the basis of which we will discount your receivable and make funding available to you. And then, of course, we can fund at the primary level, which is giving you money to buy the agro commodities, for instance, if that is what you're exporting. That's the stocking finance. This gives you opportunity to go to the markets, to get this stock in, and then of course we make those funding available. And for those who are in any form of processing or the other, we can also provide equipment finance facility or expansion finance, facility, just to be able to allow you to bring in equipment, to be able to scale up your operations. So these are not, all of these are not, there's so much more we can do beyond just what I've mentioned, but I'm very conscious of time. Thank you very much.
Welcome once more to this conversation. This is a 1 hour orientation session, and we thought that we should use this time to really help as many Nigerian businesses with export potential to really take advantage of so many opportunities that we do not know that that they exist. So first of all, I will appreciate Fidelity Bank, represented by Emmanuel, who has just spoken, that has taken a very bold step to support Nigerian businesses to export from Nigeria to the rest of the world. So the idea of this whole thing is that we all know that the FS issue we're going through here in Nigeria, the more the Naira drops in value, the more it is, it affects, of course, both the earning capacity of individuals and businesses. And for a while now, there has been this campaign that Nigerians should begin to take advantage of export. Of course, apart from the fact that it strengthens the currency of the country, for you as business owners, of course, you want to take advantage of exporting so you can earn in FX, which is a very huge opportunity right now. And this is exactly what Fidelity Bank is trying to encourage. There are a lot of Nigerians out of the 41 million micro, small, and medium enterprises we have in Nigeria that have export potential. There is a growing number of Nigerians in the diaspora who across different countries, Canada, the US, the UAE, South Africa, UK, and many other countries, with their growing population, they are yearning. Nigeria can adapt abroad 100%. From what people wear, to the food we eat, to the music we play, to a whole lot of other products and services, which we need to offer. So with this, there's a growing opportunity to take advantage of. And interestingly, Fidelity Bank, is partnering with our organization to provide support to as many businesses are willing. It's not a very easy thing to expand your product abroad. Thinking about all the registrations, the certifications, the knowledge of the local economy and how things work for you to be able to expand your business. So we took this initiative to bring you the best of hands you can find, the very best in this country you can find in terms of knowledge of support, export, packaging and readiness, support, so you can export your business, whatever you offer, to the rest of the world. So in this very knowledge sharing session, you will be, the very basics in terms of the blocks of opportunities is that, if your business is ready to export, or you've already started exporting, there is this free exhibition that Fidelity Bank has already paid for. That doesn't mean they paid for your flight or your accommodation, but you agree that if you try to exhibit abroad, it comes, you spend a whole lot of money for you to buy exhibition booths. Many times it runs into several millions for you to get a small space for you to exhibit. So this has already been paid for by Fidelity Bank. So if you can find your way to Houston in the US, you take advantage of that, that would be very nice. We are also providing information for, quick tips for businesses here that are looking to, understand about the US market and a few other things. We have Max and Bamidele here. They are going to be, giving you a whole lot of information around that. But there is also some training and certification and actually hand-holding support because you can't, if you have not attempted to export before, you cannot, from a 1 hour conversation, get ready for export. So those additional support, with proper training, get a certification, and a hand-holding to look at your products, the packaging, and all of that. That, of course, comes at a fee, and you can take advantage of the whole questions that are coming up and, indicate interest in that and, take advantage of that. And finally, we know that currently the US is not issuing new visas. What they do is drop box. So you must have had a visa with the US in the past for you to maybe get a renewal to be able to go to the US now. Last time I checked, they said this changed just a few days ago. In that regard, we're saying, okay, how do we help businesses that are not able to, that the promoters are not able to travel? So an arrangement has been made to represent your business, expert representation to set up exhibition, take some of your products, take your brochures, take your banners, and set up an exhibition for you and engage people. You can even have a virtual conversation with people that are interested in rooms, and you can connect from Nigeria and talk to them if beyond what the experts that are managing your stand will be offering. You need to talk to them, further. And then a lot of other opportunities. Get a database of the people who made the inquiry, and all of that. So that opportunity also applies, which is very, very affordable, at a token. Yeah, but this is definitely something that had to come at a cost, to do that. So these are all what we have laid out, and we really want to interact in this very conversation. We want to hear from you. Any business here that has an opportunity or the potential to export its products or services should not miss this exhibition in the US, this FITCC exhibition in the US. I'll come around back, sometime towards the end to talk to us about franchising for businesses that are looking to say, okay, my interest is I want to find franchise partners, or I want to find distributorship partners, to have some kind of structure I can put in place. I'll be also providing some information on that to help you to get ready. Okay, so once more, we welcome you to this very conversation.
Okay, thank you very much for that very fantastic, nugget. We've gotten that. So I'll just call on Mr. Maximilian Fodiga to take the stage and let us know what are the regulations, what are the export controls that we must, put into consideration as we consider exporting our products abroad. Mr. Max, welcome to the floor.
Hello, everybody. Today from Kigali in Rwanda. Just give you some small information. 10 minutes to tell you what is necessary is practically impossible. Yeah. So one thing is, when I started export in my first trainings, it took me 4 years to get the basics to understand. Yeah. But export is something that grows from experience. And one thing is that you have to understand, this is the king's discipline of business. When you are successful in exporting, you can say you are a really, really professional businessman. Let's look on some things first. That's the power of packaging. What you see on this slide is on the lower left end. You see the price of coffee, production price, when it comes from the field. And what you see on the very upper right side is when you add different kind of packaging, what is the price on the end? So you see it's actually almost 109 US dollars that just coming from making a product different with packaging. There are many examples that I actually could give you, but just look on this. Just look on the evolution how coffee was developed. First of all, you have it as a raw material. There's not that much in. Yeah. So, but this raw material is traded all over the world. It's commodity. Commodities are traded relatively easy because they are replaceable. There's a price. There's even on the future markets. And the more you add on a product, and even some people say you cannot add on commodities a lot of things, then with this example of Nespresso, you are mistaken. Because when you just look up at the chain and you see that for the Nespresso capsules, you pay actually 110 USD per kilogram, then you should understand that packaging gives you a real edge when you start to export. But one thing you also have to have in mind, packaging is not only there that you actually do it as a just for marketing advertising. Packaging is also there to introduce new business models. So what Nespresso did in this case was that they actually added additional value by putting coffees in capsules. Let's look on the next slide. When we just look at the packaging, what are the functions of a packaging? I will not go through everything there, but you see, packaging is not just only you wrap things around. No, packaging is something that serves as a protection when you send the products abroad. This was the very basic things. Yeah? That also packaging is necessary sometimes for even customs and documentation. Also, the labels are on the packaging, so every country has a different idea on labeling what has to be on a package, especially when it comes for food. Yeah? So there's US is pretty, let's say, picky when it comes to labeling on food, as well as the European Union. But don't mix the both up, because the labeling that is required in the US is sometimes different than the labeling in the US, in Europe, even if they have the same conditions. Just to give you an example, in US, it's not necessary that you, for food, you have to stipulate what ingredients you have there in Latin. As soon as you're coming to Europe, you have to stipulate actually the things which is the correct scientific terms of some ingredients. So this makes it sometimes quite difficult. Just to give you an example, a friend of mine wanted to import some things from Georgia, which is in Caucasus, and he did not a proper labeling. So the oranges that he actually wanted to import to Ukraine were blocked on the customs. And as you may imagine, this is a perishable good. Yeah? So in this case, you will see that the oranges that actually were in the container were at the end not usable anymore. Yeah? They were rotten. Yeah? And this was just due to a mistake in the labeling that he was done. As you see, just in a nutshell, packaging serves protection, preservation, compliance, branding, logistics, environmental. This is something especially when you are considering to export organic food. Adaptability, quality control, customs, and documentations. When we coming to the next point, because I really have to be careful about my time today, is opportunities and risk. What you see here, this looks like a very strange map. So which not represents the real geographic situation, but it's a very interesting one. If we would see the world or the countries not in terms like what areas they have, we would see them in the terms what kind of fruits and vegetables they will import. Then the world look like this. You see, one of the biggest importer of fruits and vegetables is Europe. And what you also see that the US market and Canada, they are also very big importers of fruit and vegetables. And this gives you chances. On the other hand, if you look on Africa, which is very small here, which means that Africa is one of the biggest exporters of this one. So you have chances. What should we say at the very moment? we now see in trade a lot of changes. Yeah? In previous times, it was, for example, quite difficult to get into supermarket chains. It was quite difficult to establish yourself as a new supplier. But nowadays, some countries, it is partially to the disruption of the supply chains in the post-COVID situation. On the other hand, to the conflict in Europe. So supply chains were completely interrupted, and this means if you are smart enough, you can have new trade opportunities. This also goes for US. Yeah? For example, I just did 6 months ago a project for Jamaica, and they were looking where to export their products at the very moment. Yeah? And it was not that difficult to get them into US and in European market, because they simply were asking for new suppliers, because all the ones were disrupted because the supply chains were in the COVID times, yeah, more or less not there anymore. Good. Risks, of course. Export always is risk. And one of my saying is you must be able to afford export. Because this is not something where I just say, okay, I start and everything comes on quick. This is also what the video will tell you. Some, let's say, sellings via internet can come quick, but you also must be able to afford to sustain an export business. Which means when you have a mistake in a product, you have some, let's say, quality problems, and your customer has a complaint and you have to fix this. This would be, well, not that difficult. It's a Lagos butcher. This is something what you can do very well. But just imagine that you have a fix a problem which is in Houston from Lagos. Then it gets already a little bit more complicated and also more expensive. What you see on the other hand is you have opportunities that can give you in some markets a much higher profit margin than in your home market. But on the other hand, the risk if something goes wrong is also higher than when you are in a home market. Please have this in mind. And also there is one market, I talked with Titi yesterday about this one, that there is one market that is completely overseen by the community at the very moment. This is the Russian Federation, because the Russian Federation has cut off so many trade routes at the very moment. Well, the Western governments, so it was Europe, especially US. So they are looking actually for new suppliers. So this also is a very nice chance. Maybe you cannot export directly to Russia, but one of the things is, and this is quite funny from the trade statistics, if you look at Kyrgyzstan, which is a very small country in Central Asia, that has an export boom at the very moment. But you see on the other side, it also has an import boom. So this country became a hub to channel some goods from the world into the Russian market. And the good thing is they are in a trade union, so it's quite easy to go there. But there are always opportunities, there are always risks, yeah. But I just wanted to highlight what the things will come up. When we look into our next slide, you see here what can the risks be. Yeah, I will not go in detail in it because this would be a one-day seminar. Yeah? But you see, the risk starts already at the very, very beginning, not even before you have sold it. Yeah. One of my speaker colleagues told already the Naira was going down in terms of the dollar. So if you have fixed the price in an offer and it's going down, then it will be quite problematic if you have to import something. On the other hand, if you export something, it could be easier. Yeah? So, but the fluctuation in the currencies always give you an extremely risky situation that you must be able to hedge. And this is where banks usually coming in. What we also see, you have to buy raw materials, you produce, you transport, and then in some countries, you even have bureaucratic risks, where some countries just say, okay, just a moment, this document is not that okay, please just be sidelined, just wait till it comes to custom clearance. I had one case when I just think I'm originally from Austria, and I wanted to buy something from Malaysia, shipped to me to Austria. Was a very small item, yeah, but it took me 6 months till I got the custom clearance. It's now better, yeah, but these are the risks that you always have to encounter. If somebody says, okay, I need this in 3 months, it's already in the country, but you do not get customs clearance. You can fix this with Incoterms and other things. But if the agreement was 3 months, you can say, I don't want this good anymore, and then it has to go back. So you have produced maybe something very special for the client. Then it comes into the country, customs block it. The client says, I refuse it according to the contract. I must be able to have this good in 3 months. So these are the costs that I'm always explaining you, that you must be able to afford if something goes wrong. What you see here in the lower section, how you can manage it. This is some quality systems that you for some things even need. Let's go further to certification. Certifications are legal requirements when you import to the US. I just took a look on mainly on food products. And as you see already, there are a lot of documents that you need for compliance. For example, you need a food administration registration, yeah, before you're going. Then for some things, you need a HACCP certification, yeah. Then, for example, when you say, okay, you are organic, then you need, in most cases, a certificate from an American recognized organization that really certifies you that you are actually organic certified. Yeah. Then what the customs in US need, they need a prior notice of shipment. So there are a lot of things that actually you require before you actually can get into export. These documentations and this thing is what I normally say, ask a forwarder and ask a special agent. He can tell you exactly what documentations are, but you have to get the documentations. And this is in certifications. And this is one of the issues that actually can cause you a lot of effort and of course a lot of time. But you must be prepared that this can be requested from your side. What you also may need on documents, these are not certifications, but for example, you need for some countries, they require that the consulate stipulates that the price that you are actually selling is not a price that is done to save import duties. You can also, some of your customers maybe ask independent auditing company, just took here SGS, that they are just checking that the products that you really have are in compliance with the contract. So there are a lot of documents that are actually needed. This is the legal environment that you have. Let's just put it together in a nutshell. On the one hand, you have quite big opportunities in a foreign market, and actually all the bigger companies must be prepared, and also yourself must be prepared to enter a foreign market. And on the other hand, is when you are really successful in a foreign market, this the first country is always the most difficult. This gives you the guarantee that the world is open for Nigeria, and the products that you have are actually brilliant. So I was talking with a lot of, especially when it comes to spices and teas. Yeah. So this is what I was watching. But you all have to say, you have to take the chance, because just sitting there and waiting, nobody will come to you. You have to come to your client. That's from my side. And I give you back, because I was already a little overdoing with my time. 13 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, fantastic. But a lot of persons are already asking if they can get this document, but no problem at all. Thank you for the presentation. We'll have to call you back maybe for 1 minute to just give us a recap. In the meantime, fantastic presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, so and to the next speaker of the night or the day, I have to call on Mr. Bamidele to come talk to us about export readiness. Mr. Bamidele, sir, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'll be talking about getting ready for the export market. The objective covers 3 major areas. Mark has spoken about one, so I'll just concentrate on the other area. Sorry, can you stop the pool? Is disrupting what I'm doing. Thank you. All right. Export readiness I define as a multifaceted concept that involve the ability of a business, a multifaceted concept that involves the ability of a business or a company, first of all, to successfully enter the export market. Number two, to sustainably compete in that market. And number three, to be able to significantly grow its market share until it becomes established in that export market. And from that, you can see successfully entering the market. Number two, sustainably competing. And number three, significantly growing. And if you look at some of the things that Mark mentioned, those are the things that are required to be able to enter the market. And you realize that a number of people come into export business as a result of depth of knowledge, they experience delays. Some have defective goods, maybe because of the quality of packaging. Some experience delays, demurrage. That's an extra cost as a result of maybe the documentation issues that were just mentioned in the last presentation. Discrepancies, particularly if you have to use a payment instrument like letter of credit, and all this resulting into debt. And of course, some even drop out as a result of this because they cannot continue as a result of the issues they are facing in the business. To be ready for a successful and sustainable export, there are 15 areas of readiness. In the conversation you heard from Mark, you will see issue around product in terms of packaging, in terms of quality specification, and also documentation, paperwork. Beyond product, packaging, and paperwork, there's so many other issues that need to be considered. The promoter needs to be ready. That's the owner of the business. That's a very big one. A number of issues that need to be overcome in entering the market, the promoter is going to drive it. So if the promoter is not ready, then the business cannot go ahead. We've talked about product in terms of quality and packaging already. Then pricing. Your pricing must be right for the market. You need to work with a team of people, staff, who have the right predisposition for export market. Also importantly, is the reason for going in, the purpose. If it's just to make money, maybe you can make money doing business locally, not just for export, because there are other issues you face, other complexity that comes in, that if you don't have other important reason, for example, you're an import company and you need Forex desperately, that might be a good reason why you want to go into export. Or you have a vision to be build a global brand, that might be a reason why you want to go into export. Or there are other incentives you want to benefit beyond just making money, because there are other things you can do locally to make money. So that's why having other reasons beyond just making money then become important. Then the capacity of the business, promotion, the capacity to promote, the capacity in terms of proficiency and skill, which is why any training seminar being organized to develop your skill is so important, like the one that was announced earlier. Production capacity, payment capacity to source funds to pay your local supplier or raw material supplier, and capacity to also raise funds, get payment after shipment. Then positioning of the business. in terms of readiness of the business in general, particularly for the product. Then the country, you've heard about documentation from Mark in terms of require pre and post documentation at the export market. But the people, you need to understand the people. And by the people, I mean the buyers who will be buying in that market. The consumer now, not the distributor. I'll come to the distributor later. The consumer, those end users of the product in the export market, and of course, the potential. And then coming to the companion, having partners in the export market is so important. In fact, if you check businesses who have been into international business, international trade for a long time, they use either of these three options. Either they have overseas sales representative or overseas subsidiary company or overseas sales branch. I'm talking about franchising, which was mentioned earlier. That's like getting a partner in the export market who will pretty much replicate your business from the branding to the product and every other thing in the export market, talking about partnership. And then the purchasers, the distributors, the importers, the supply chain in the export market. The idea is this: having a good understanding of all these criteria and evaluating your business across all these criteria then become very important. Let me just go through the criteria in detail before I close. If you look at the owner, remember owner are the promoter are the owner who has to be experienced, have a good understanding of the export process, and ready to commit resources. The product in terms of quality specification, that is why some of those certifications that were mentioned earlier then become important. Unique characteristics and packaging. The pricing, talking about the cost of the goods. Local, are you sourcing your raw material locally or you are importing it? In Nigeria of today, sourcing your raw material from abroad might not be too palatable because of the rate of exchange that you will be incurring to get those things in. What's your freight cost? Can you achieve economy of scale? Predisposition, talking about the staff exposure. The staff might not have worked abroad or school abroad, speak foreign language, or those orientation. That's why knowledge in terms of training them become important for those staff. Why are you going abroad? What's the reason? Foreign exchange, survival, government incentive, desire for global brand, the payment, getting funding, ability to get funding. Do you have collateral to be able to get funding? Can you secure payment from abroad? How do you understand how to manage your risk? Then the production, talking about market demand. Do you have idle or excess capacity? Can you do competition to be able to do contract manufacturing to be able to meet the demand? Can you handle demand surge? Proficiency in terms of skill and competence, identifying and managing the risk, handling export dynamics, handling trade finance instrument, research and development for market demand. How about promotion? Increasing awareness, the capacity for trade mission. Emmanuel talked about trade mission. That's one of the ways you can develop your export market. Having been able to attend a trade mission. And if you're not able to go, you also have another unique opportunity to be able to work with organizations that can reduce your cost and represent you. Whichever way you look at it, having that representation, getting to meet potential buyers in the export market is a very important way to promote your product in the export market. How about positioning? Do you have, if your product does not have demand locally, if nobody is interested locally, and it's a finished good, not a raw material that there is nobody processing locally, it's a finished product that people are buying, but nobody is buying yours, that means the product is not well positioned for the export market. Then country where the product is going to. Of course, you need to check out the potential. The potential of the product. Is there a huge potential? And there are enough tools available online for you to be able to know if your product has potential in the export market. Then documentation required. A number of that have been mentioned already. And then the consumer, their demography, psychography, geography, location, and behavioral. And then the companion, talking about the partners. Partners who will represent you, a joint venture arrangement, maybe in terms of franchising or whatever arrangement. The idea is this: you need representative in the export market. And then, of course, the purchasers, the agent, and the distributor having access to them. Now, before I close, you can use this link on bit.ly/export readiness to do an assessment of your business. The assessment is free. You know, we did that assessment. We've done it for a number of businesses, and we realized a number of businesses are not ready. Even those that have been able to export. In fact, we realized that in Nigeria, about 66% of businesses with sample were almost ready. And some of them are exporting already. Look at the challenge. Those that are almost ready, they will be able to export, but they can't undo a challenge like COVID. COVID will come to test if you are ready. I was able to assess during COVID. A number of that businesses were able to export during COVID. Why? Because they were export ready. So when there are challenges, that will confirm if indeed the business was export ready in the first place. If you do that assessment, you get a free report within 2 working days, which will show if you are export ready, almost ready, midway to ready, just starting or preparing to start. Now, it will also show you the area you are lacking. So you can go and work on those areas and prepare your business for export readiness. As I conclude, I would like to say to everyone that the need for a business to be fully ready before venturing into export cannot be overemphasized. This is because it will help the business to have each free promotion in the export market, hassle-free paperwork in export business, and equal-free export business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bamidele. That was a fantastic piece of information. Guys, this is just a tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to unpack. And I hope you all join us in the training and consultation section where you will have personalized, advisory sessions with each of the speakers. Okay, and to the last speaker of the day, Mr. Chiagozin Wizu. Please welcome to the floor.
Hello, everyone. I would just, because we are almost out of time, I would have to just do a recap on just a few things under franchising and franchise readiness. I do not have a slide. I'll just keep it to just 5 minutes. I see we have quite a number of questions to take so that we can really personalize these for people. So some of the things I will just quickly touch on is in the area of business scaling, expansion through franchising, and structured distributorship. The franchise model in itself is you have to understand that actually, Nigeria is not as established, in terms of the franchise practice, and you are going to economies, to countries that in their understanding of partnership, they are very advanced. They understand structured distributorships, they understand, franchising. So you need to understand how to really be able to package your business to be able to meet the international standards in terms of franchising. So there is a structure that, on how that works. Okay, you understand the concept of franchising and, all of that. Then also, it's very important to also look at the intellectual property laws, contracts, and, and regulations, franchise regulations. This is one area that business owners hardly look at, but however, at the end of the day, it proves to be very, very critical. Even here in Nigeria, quite a number of businesses that are going into some form of partnership or the other, franchising, distributorship, they do not look at this. So you need to understand global, at the global level, how exactly do you see that contracting agreements, your roles and the role the other parties are going to play, that they are put very clear, out there. For example, we've had here in Nigeria people that have gone into franchising and they have structured their franchise agreements as if it were a mere distributorship. And at the end of the day, parties are not agreeing. And you don't want to have it this messy when you are looking to expand your brand abroad. So you need to understand international intellectual property laws. What is intellectual property? What do you have? How do you protect these things? How do you register them? Is a very critical information you should have. Also, there is the packaging, marketing, and attracting investors and franchisees. How do you do that? Do you have a brochure in place that communicates all of your offerings and your propositions? Okay, are you able to put out there all of the values and the opportunities that is there? In how do you support? We need to understand that the reason why people go into this sort of partnership where they're trying to leverage your proven business model or system is because they too are afraid of going through the hassles of starting up and building from the scratch. Okay, so you need to be able to so that packaging is not the area of packaging or product packaging that my colleagues here have been talking about. It is how you package the offering and the presentation of the model you have chosen to go with. Okay, you are looking for export partners. You want to call them, distributors. You want to call them franchisees. You want to call them licensed partners. You need to understand a global standard, how these things work, and you need to be able to put these things in a well-packaged documentation, in a brochure format, right? So that the people are able to have a look and there are less questions asked. It makes it easy for them to engage. You don't have to, even if you're going to be at the exhibition, you don't have to stand there at the exhibition and tell everything. At your exhibition stand, you are going to be having perhaps, quite a number of people, 5, 10 people. You need to have something. It's not a flyer. It's not a flyer you put on your exhibition desk. You need to have an information that people can look at. Maybe a 10-page brochure, and at a glance, they can see the numbers. How much money do they make? How do you support them? What is your product all about? What are people saying about your product? And so many other things. Finally, there's also the business operations essentials. Why operations fail. It is very critical, right? Why operations fail. The more business you have to deal with expansion, you have to remember you have many stakeholders to manage. You have your employees, you have your investors or your partners, you have your customers, right? You are dealing with a host of stakeholders who you are responsible for the outcome they get, the value that they get. Your franchisees or your distributors are not the ones responsible for the product experience or service experience that the customers get. You have to take control of that. You have to take ownership of that. If you're going to go into exports, you want to export your products and your service, and you do not have plans to manage the entire operations. How do you produce? How do you track your production capacity? How do you manage the distribution? How do you manage the logistics? How do you manage people? How do you manage partners? All these things are very critical. If you do not plan for them and you just think it's all about, let me have products and throw it out there in the market, you may realize that you have very fantastic product, but it will not do well in the market. So these are things that we, I thought to bring to our attention. In my conclusion, just before we begin to take questions, we will take as much questions as we can take. We promised you an hour. But if you feel that from this whole engagement that there is a whole lot that, because we are using this orientation to allow you to make your assessment, perhaps, especially if you have not been experienced in export and you have a good product or service, we want you to use this time to intuitively look inwards and say, do I have what it takes, okay, to take advantage of this? Fidelity Bank does this thing once in a year. Meanwhile, next year is not going to be in the US. They've done UK last year. It was fantastic. Now it's the US. US is a very important market, right? It is still about 3 months, roughly, before this event. There is enough time if you feel you have good products or service, and you should start doing something. Take advantage of that. Next year, it might be South Africa, it might be Dubai, UAE, that is happening, and you might not have a chance of this free exhibition for in the next couple of years, because it takes a lot to put this very event together. Yeah. So my conclusion would be that if you feel you have a lot of work to do, take advantage. As a poll question that had come up, and is asking people to indicate interest in training, certification, and handholding. It is the same experts that are speaking to you here. There are just 4 of us here. There are more, in the entire value chain of support in helping businesses, including access to funding, which Fidelity Bank is providing. They are going to be there to provide hands-on support, to look at your products, examine them, give you proper advisory that you will require for you to be able to, take advantage of this. So make sure you respond to that very poll question. In fact, the team might have to bring that up if it came in earlier, because I can see there are a whole lot more people here now, so that you can, indicate interest, and then we could engage you further on that. Same applies to the opportunity of participating in the exhibition. You don't have a flight visa, to be able to travel. Yeah, there's a plan to represent your business, in the most professional way. Yeah, and then the exhibition can also happen in your state. So, this is what all what from me. I didn't talk about Africa Franchise Institute when I started. Africa Franchise Institute is a business school that focuses squarely in enabling business expansion, especially through franchising and structured distributorships. Our goal is working with, Faith Foundation, the Enterprise Development Center, to bring training, all-round, well-rounded trainings to, businesses. There's research and development, and also some hands-on support to enable expansion. We need to start having a whole lot more of second, third generation businesses that are sustainable, that also become global brands, right? So thank you very much. I'm yielding back to the moderator, so we can quickly attend to as many questions as we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Olawumi, I can see your hand is raised. Kindly drop your question in the chat box. We'll attend to them as they come. So in addition to what Mr. Chiagozie had said, if you are very much eager to expand your knowledge on these subjects, if you are eager to expand your knowledge on how you can export your products abroad, then do well to attend the training and consultation session that's coming up in August. Very, very important. It's coming up in August. If you look at the e-flyer, you see there, do well to attend. After this, after this session, we'll still, communicate with you as to what are the requirements, what are the things you need to do to be part of that, session. So we'll take the questions one after the other. The first question here is from Busun Solarin. So she asks, can we list products that have only FDA but no NAFDAC? So if I understand the question, she's essentially saying if we can export products that has no NAFDAC number. I think this question has been answered, but I don't know if any of the speakers want to throw more light on this.
I answered almost everything already in the chat. So it's if additional things are required, let me know.
Fantastic. Okay, so Mr. Marx is saying that NAFDAC number, of course, is a very key and necessary criteria. Your product must have, must be NAFDAC certified before you even consider exporting abroad. Okay, there's a question again from Busun Solarin. She's asking, can your business release my turmeric on Amazon? I had issues with the former agent as relates to the contracts. He changed the contracts of 9 years that we signed under 6 months and wanted to force me to sign another one for 15 years. I don't know if any speaker want to take this question. Should I go again? I think this question, Mr. Bamidele, do do you want to attend to this question?
The
So she's
question is
asking,
not clear. Can you read it again?
yeah, she's asking if her business can be relisted on Amazon. According to her, she had issues with the former agents, you know, and somehow the business,
that means she has to work with someone that do marketing on Amazon for that to happen. I'm really not clear, but
yeah, I think
we have
so.
to work with someone that work on Amazon if he's looking for another person to relist it.
Yes. So Solari, you get that. You work with someone that works on, I mean, with Amazon to get your product relisted. Okay. There's a question from Bob McCarthy. He's asking, what's the export market like for dairy products, milk, ice cream, etc.? Mr. Max, do you want to take that?
I will take that. You know, this is when you are really going with dairy, this is one of the most complex thing, because you need a cooling chain, which is quite, let's say, complicated to handle. What we also have to say, even you manage the cooling chain pretty well, most of the countries have very, very strict requirements regarding importing dairy products. So, for example, the EU is, even when it comes to milk, this is even a protected market, so you would not even go into it. Yeah? What is possible is, to some extent, is cheese. Yeah? But you have to look, what I say, ice cream, I would actually say, I never have seen something, a really cross-border export of ice cream when it's not a unified economic zone. Yeah, so within European Union would be possible. Normally, this business is done that way. Let's say Ben & Jerry's, for example. This is a brand that is a US brand, but also sold in Europe. They are not doing it that way, that they are selling the in US produced ice cream to Europe. They let them produce in Europe. So with this comes again to the franchise thing. Yeah, I just say, okay, you're selling your business model. For example, you have a very good Nigerian franchise a brand about ice cream that is known already somewhere. You have some additional flavors, something that distinguish you from your competition. Then you should find a dairy company that actually is producing your ice cream in the target country, yeah? And you are just licensing it. That would be my recommendation. But honestly, this has to be watched case by case.
Thank you very much, Mr. Max. That is very, very clear. Okay, there's a question from Olawumi. I think this is directed to Mr. Chagoze Wizu and Mr. Manuel. So she's planning to attend the US FITCC fair in October with the sole aim of getting distributors and franchise for her products. Her products are already in the US by individual customers having stores over there. So she's asking, what are the things or plans she needs to put in place in order to achieve, proper to probably be in the US market, essentially.
Okay, so what is happening, I'm not sure if people were able to get this because of the limited time we have. The value of this very program is that Fidelity Bank is bringing together, both from Nigeria side and from US side, all the regulatory agencies that enable trade and export. So there are representatives of NIPC, of NEPC, of CAC, right, that are going to be, be at that very event. It's more like a handshake. So because it's happening with partnership with the US, commercial services, and which is part of the service that the US Embassy provides, to see that there is a handshake between Nigerian businesses and investors or entrepreneurs that are in the US. So if you try to expand to the US market on your own, you might have not been able to meet up with some of, or have it easy, right? So for example, there are some of these major carriers, big stores that have up to 500 stores in the US alone. you may want to put your products there. They are going to be coming to that very exhibition. There are some regulatory issues that need some sort of concession. You know, you talk about your problems. There's going to be a session where Nigerians that are exhibiting, or again, if you're not able to exhibit, you could, if you're interested in the exhibition by representation, you could provide us that these are the challenges you are having with registering your business, with running your business as a franchise or distributorship in the US, and we can bring it at that very session, interactive session, so that the representatives of in the US of trade and all of that can take note of that and be able to give concessions if they can to the businesses that are part. So this thing was planned with, it's a high level or a planned program where you are going to have authorities, both from Nigeria and the US, really look at your needs in establishing your business. And you can never get this doing it by yourself. This is a major thing that Fidelity Bank has been able to do in putting this together. And we really need to give them kudos, for that. So there are also about 3,000 people who are going to come from the US. Many of them are Nigerians in the diaspora who have been engaged. They are looking to be partners, they will be coming, and if you are going to be exhibiting, they also will know that these are the brands that are coming to exhibit, so that they would definitely have to visit your stand. I think I've been able to make this clear. Beyond the effort you have made, these are more reasons why you need to take advantage of this very event and work closely. I think Emmanuel from Fidelity Bank had shared a link for you to register directly and exhibit if you have your visa and all the requirements, if you can go take advantage of this by yourself.
Yeah, but I will say add again, just to mention the link again, fitccusa.com. Okay, and so it's also important that she registers and indicates that she will require a booth, and so we can make that available to her as well. I'll put it on the chat anyway, so for those who can hear me, but I'll just put it on the chat. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So if I may also want to clarify, the representation opportunity, of course, is for people who require this additional support, to go to the exhibition. So we said that there is a training and a certification and hand-holding support that will be provided. So that representation, if you are looking for, because of course, we also need to be sure that your business meets all the standards, for it to be represented in the US.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that very piece of information. Okay, so just to add to what you have said, if you have many more questions, please just, like I said earlier, you should be part of the training and consultation section. It's coming up just in August, next month. The information is on the flyer, so just participate. We will, of course, share more information, more updates on that particular training. We'll communicate it, we'll send it across to you via mails. So in absence of any other questions, I'd like to say special thanks to all the speakers. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Thank you for the insightful section, and to our attendees, thank you for having us. Thank you for joining us for this impactful section. We'll see you next time. We'll see you at the training and consultation section. And of course, do have a pleasant day.